Right now, though, we are joined by another regular voice here on the show, a great storyteller, Jon Liedtke. Good morning, Jon.
Good morning, Gene.
The great thing about you coming on the show, you're not just a voice, you're a great storyteller, and you always seem to take an idea and compare it to a movie. So I can't wait for today. You're talking about Donald Trump, and you're an old newspaper guy, so you always pitch me ideas, which I love. And today we're talking about the art of the shakedown. Welcome to the Corleone Presidency. Okay, explain, Lucy.
It's the only label that fits, Gene. I mean, look, here down in Windsor, we've got the Gordie Howe Bridge. It's supposed to be opening up, but we've got a shakedown going on with it. It connects Windsor to Detroit. It's completely built. It's been paid for entirely by Canadian taxpayers. It's $6.5 billion, and it's being held hostage because a private bridge dynasty in Detroit whispered in the right ear at the White House. From the toll booths at the border to the corporate boardrooms, the squeeze is on. We're validating lighting systems right now on the bridge. The thing is ready to go. It's bleeding $7 million every week that it's not open. This is mob work 101. Take a legitimate business, max out the credit lines, and leave the husk to burn. Think Goodfellas, but instead of doing the restaurant, they torch the most economically vital mile of pavement on the planet.
Yeah, no kidding. Now, you're talking about the pincer maneuver of border fees. You're going to have to explain that one.
Yeah, I mean, look, we used to have a peaceful, predictable border, but it's morphed into a classic shakedown, and it's a pincer because people are being squeezed from both ends. On the U.S. side, there's a security surcharge, and it's not just a fee, that's a gate tax. As of 2025, the I-94 land border fee jumped from $6 to a staggering $30. That's a 400% freedom to enter hike that hits every occasional traveler, and that's not us here in Canada specifically, but those are the ones who are outside of our continental entry zone. But on the other half of it is the pincer that's coming from our own government in Ottawa. In response to the Trump steel and auto duties and other tariffs, we have hit with 25% retaliatory tariffs on U.S.-made goods. So we're not just paying more at the border or waiting for the border. We're also been hit with a retaliatory tax on the very groceries and car parts that people are used to crossing the border to get. What used to be a free-flowing economic artery is now a pay-to-play gauntlet where the average car that crosses is hit by collateral damage.
Yeah. This is probably the most important bridge in all of Canada. Now, what you were talking about is just the government side. So what about the existing bridge?
Well, that's the other side of this pincer that exists too, Gene. While the White House isn't technically setting the tolls of any of the old bridges, they have mastered the chaos of the monopoly. And while we're watching this Gordie Howe Bridge being treated like a poker trip and being threatened to not be open unless we potentially hand over more than 50% to the U.S., we are now just watching this be hit by national security reviews, and the administration is handing the private monopoly ambassador bridge right now a monopoly still it's a license to print money. This is a classic protection racket. They're keeping the new public bridge as a parking lot so their donors who have been hitting lobbyists can keep squeezing every commuter and trucker in the Windsor-Detroit corridor with impunity. While the politicians are playing Corleone, it's the guy driving the F-150 who's actually footing the bill here with this shakedown.
Yeah. This reminds me of like a scene in The Godfather. Hey, nice bridge you got there, Canada. Shame if nobody ever gets to drive it.
Precisely, Gene. And it scales up, too. Look at the 15% VIG that's being squeezed out of the tech sector. The administration isn't just asking for export licenses. They're demanding a 15% cut of top-line revenue or percentage of the company from, like, Nvidia or AMD just for the privilege of doing business. This is the Pauly Cicero philosophy. Business bad? F you, pay me. Oh, you had a record quarter? F you, pay me. Oh, the business burned down? F you, pay me. But here's the kicker. This isn't just numbers on balance sheets, Gene. This is the tax on the brains of the next generation auto industry. When the cost of the chips for the EV platforms at the Nexstar plant or Stellantis or any of the new auto plants that still exist here in the country increase because of a White House shakedown, that VIG is being paid by every worker on the line and all of the ancillary businesses and the families buying the cars. It's a global racket with a local invoice being sent, and we're all being stuck with foot in the bill.
Yeah. So how is Trump getting away with this?
Because he didn't learn politics from a civics book. He learned it at the feet of Roy Cohn, the legendary consigliere of the Genovese and Gambino crime families of New York. That's the Cohn Curriculum. Never admit, never settle, bury the truth under a mountain of frivolous motions. This is the same tactic Trump used to gut contractors in Atlantic City decades ago, and now he's scaling it up to the United States government and the Constitution. But he's not just stalling in court. He's using emergency declarations to bypass budgets entirely. He's essentially turning the Oval Office into a shell company. Lawyers are arguing over precedents in D.C., but the VIG is being collected in real time. This isn't a legal strategy. It's a hostile takeover.
Now, why do you say the Secret Service isn't even safe?
Because they're in it as well. We're seeing invoices for like $1,200 a night per room just so his security detail can sleep under a roof that he owns. If you think that like the double dip chocolate at Tim Hortons is something, this is a double dip. It's a double-double. The taxpayer pays the salary, and then the taxpayer pays the mortgage. And look at the Tough Guy Act. This is a guy who said he had bone spurs to get out of the draft, makes fun of real war heroes like John McCain for getting captured. He's getting into wars right now. He acts tough, but he hides behind walls of NDAs, high-priced consiglieres, and now he's got Secret Service agent he charges rent to. This isn't strength. It's a predatory grift.
Yikes. You know, I can't stress enough the importance of this bridge. I mean, so much trade goes, both ways on this bridge. We really need the new one open because it may be down in Windsor, Ontario, but it affects everybody here in the Niagara region as well. So just coming to the conclusion before I have to go, what's the end game here?
Well, this is a survival play, Gene, for Trump. He's trying to stay out of a jumpsuit. This is a man who knows that when the Epstein files get fully out, he's going to be dealing with this from the House and the Senate and investigations and trials and impeachment. And so the realization here for us in Canada is that this is a bully, and he's not going to stop because we're being civil or we're going to find a win-win trade deal. What we need to do is punch the bully right in the face. That's how you deal with things. It's time to stop treating the Oval Office like it's a branch of government. Start treating it like it's a criminal enterprise. Start pushing back now at the border, in the boardrooms. If you have American friends, tell them to do so at the ballot box, because we're not talking about just losing a friendship here or losing a bridge here. This is a global shakedown. We're talking about a complete change of how we know geopolitics, and I don't want to see where we're going to.
Another great story, John. I sure do appreciate you. Have a sweet Passover. Enjoy Seder dinner number 2 tonight, and we'll be talking to you next Tuesday.
Thank you, and happy Easter to you and yours.
There you go. Jon Liedtke. We love his storytelling abilities.